he says, well, how much should I fill the pot? Should I fill a quarter, halfway, three-fourths?
She's like, I don't know, just fill enough water to cover the pasta. And he's like, well, I just don't know how much water to put. And then he goes, after the water, how high do I turn this on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty scary.
Welcome back to another episode of A Fine Podcast with your host, Amanda and
Joseph. Yes. Welcome back. Hope everyone is doing great and having a nice time in this December season.
Yes. Are you excited for the holidays?
Yeah. It's coming up very fast.
Very fast.
I already feel like it's almost halfway over.
That's really sad when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to do more Christmas activities.
I know. We were just talking about going to see Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then they have like a animal viewing afterward. I don't know. They have a whole bunch of random animals that they've acquired somehow and are on display.
I think they're from like local places around the area.
Yeah, I guess they've rented them out. I don't know.
This makes it sound like a weird spot. It's a spot where you go and you get to drive through and see all these different Christmas lights, and it's a big tour, and you can just stop and do that and then turn around and go. But then there's another exhibit where it was too cold to do any of this last year when we went, but there's like kind of like, what would you call it? Rides.
Well, it's almost like a little mini carnival. Like they have very carnival games, carnival rides, and then they have like a little, I guess it's like not really a petting area, but kind of like a petting zoo, but without petting. Oh, I guess no, take it back. You could pet them.
They were in like the warm, heated area, not in the outside.
Yes.
Freezingness.
Yeah. Well, some of them were outside, the big giant oxes that just.
What was the really tall one we saw last year?
I thought it was an ox.
That was the ox?
Yeah. It's like a Highlands ox or something.
Well, they were like half inside, half outside. They had access to the inside area.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, but I don't think they were, because they're like way up north creatures that aren't bothered by this cold, so they love it. All right, anyway.
What are you more excited for? To see Christmas lights or to talk about these past 3 episodes of
Wow, that was
Love is Blind?
Yeah. I mean, both are equally fun.
Equally exciting. What better way to celebrate the holiday seasons than to review episodes 7, 8, and 9?
Yeah, maybe I'll talk to that ox about episodes 7, 8, and 9. See if it enjoys it any.
Yeah, that's true. We could take our podcast to the petting area.
Yeah. They'll probably eat one of the microphones.
Yeah, that's true. Well, things got to sort of be like a zoo with some of the couples, and we will talk about that here.
Yeah. Yeah, what a carnival ride this was.
Yes. Well, let's first discuss a couple that was not like a zoo or like a carnival ride. Can you guess who that couple would be?
Yeah, Garrett and Taylor.
Yes, you are correct. Let's go over their time so far.
Yeah, kind of the sane bunch of the
Yes. The sane bunch of the whole craziness that's happening. So this episode, they get their phones back. So they immediately go to social media, and Taylor gets to see Garrett's Instagram for the first time, which is just hundreds of pictures of fish.
Yeah, they kind of get to see or get more back into the real world of society and understanding how the other person ticks and how they live in the world, and get to actually see more of a real scenario playing out versus this big fantasy. So
Garrett's Instagram is all about fish and not too many other pictures. But they don't really go through Taylor's Instagram that much.
Yeah. I guess because what she just said, she didn't really have much to, but I don't know, probably because he just doesn't have that much care. I feel like it's much more, I don't know, women are more like to pry into the, like a man's phone or something, but I don't know.
If you were on the show and you and I met and I looked at your Instagram,
There'd be nothing there because my last post was like 2016
you'd
probably.
still be in like college or something.
Yeah. So I would have nothing to, there'd be nothing there.
Your most recent picture is like you at prom in high school.
No. I think my last Instagram was like a Gymshark bag or something that I got.
Wow. A workout guy.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, not anymore.
So Garrett brings Taylor to meet his family, and his parents are very nice people, but they have concerns about the timeline.
They're also like one of the more sane families here, but yeah, so, which I mean, I think that is probably the most common sense from this whole thing is
how fast this is moving.
Yeah. It would be one thing, I feel like, if it was just, that we're now just dating and here's the thing, but the fact they're having to marry at this is quite crazy. I can't imagine having, I mean, there's got to, I don't know, maybe not, maybe they don't, but they have any discussion with their parents before about even saying, hey, I'm going to go on this show and I can potentially be engaged after this.
Yeah.
If things click and if they have any like premonition against it or just, I don't know.
And it'd be interesting to hear how every person did that before they went on the show. But I feel like possibly they told them, but maybe it's not even real until they actually matched with somebody. Or maybe the parents just thought, oh, that's crazy. They're never going to be able to match with somebody. Or I don't know. Or maybe it wouldn't work out, or I don't know. Not that they would never be able to match with somebody, but that actually sounded terrible. Like they can't. But maybe it's one of those things you can't believe it until you see it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they voiced their opinions then too.
Yeah. Yeah, but nonetheless, they're here. His mother seems to be more the one affected by it, as she kind of gets emotional going through the whole thing. And
yeah, I would totally be like that.
Yeah, but little do the parents know, I'm sure if they watch the series after this, that he picked the best one probably out of the bunch.
Yeah, they have nothing to worry about compared to what's going on in these other relationships.
Yeah.
But
so I'm sure looking back, they'll feel
way
they
more
can
comfortable.
feel better about it all. But
I mean, I think they liked Taylor, and it was nothing against her. I think it's all just their thoughts about how crazy this show is.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're gonna go to a wedding and just absolutely know nothing about the other person by the time they're there, so that's just strange for them. So
right. So they tour Taylor's apartment, and she only has beer and protein shakes in the fridge. Kind of like a guy's apartment.
Yeah, this was quite stunning. I mean, did she only use pantry in the food or food in the pantry? Or
just eat out every night.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, that seems very strange.
No food.
I don't know why. I don't know who operates with nothing in the fridge. Like not a single piece of food. It's just all liquid.
Like a student in a dorm room or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a job. No, all right. This was their actual apartment. Yeah. So, never mind. Just gotta have that out. Yeah, I mean, this is I don't know, I would have never expected any of the women to have this set up. I
Yeah.
would have been Garrett, yeah, sure, totally. But yeah, this was weird.
Shocking. And they sit down in her apartment and they talk about how Taylor really wants to move to San Diego.
Yeah, this almost seemed like a blind side.
Unless they talked about it and we didn't really see anything.
Right, maybe they didn't air it, but because you really pressed that, and he seemed a little taken aback by it.
Well, he made some really good points. He said, you know, when I eventually have children, I don't want them to grow up not knowing any of their family members because all my family lives around this area.
Right, yeah, they're in Virginia, and then she wants to go to, which I don't even know if her family's in.
I think her parents live in San Diego or around San Diego. But you come on to the Love is Blind DC edition.
This is what I don't. How did she get aired for this if she doesn't even live in there or live at DC?
Well, she does live there in that apartment, but I think did she say she had a second place in San Diego, or she travels back and forth?
Oh, I didn't catch that. Just 2 places.
I really don't know.
She's paying for 2 places.
Either that, or she goes to visit there a lot.
Oh.
But she has that apartment we saw in DC.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But how could you get on with the information there that you would really like to move back to San Diego and take a DC man with you?
Yeah, I feel like they would almost need to say they're willing to come over to the East Coast or something else, or I don't know. It just seems crazy to come on this and then want to go to the opposite direction. Because I'm sure all of them are probably local to the area, right? And that's probably why they want to.
That's why this is so shocking.
Do this. Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, because all the other people probably don't have to. They could want to go somewhere else, sure, but I'm sure a lot of them probably are happy where they are and they just want to stay here. I don't know. This was weird, but I think he agreed that he was like willing to at least start out there. Maybe they can figure out somewhere else, but
yeah, and he said as long as we dedicate time to taking trips back here.
Yeah.
Which
that's a big jump though.
That is. It's uncomfortable, but
as well, and especially too, right? Because especially for his parents who are already like on edge about this whole thing, and then he basically has to go full force into this where she can almost, because he's gonna have to move or like quit his job, probably find something else over there, uproot everything like this. Hopefully, I mean, they look the most stable, so I don't really have concerns, but I mean, there has to be maybe a little bit in his mind where if this didn't work out, then he's really putting himself in a pickle otherwise. So
did you catch if he was remote or if doesn't he travel for work though?
I was gonna say he's a physicist, so I'm sure he's probably going in. He's probably got a place that he's conducting experiments or doing research. It's probably not. Maybe he has like a day or two or something where he could do remote for writing his.
I didn't really hear so much that his job was on the line. I heard his main concerns were his family members.
Yeah, and maybe he can work something out, but I would kind of think he wouldn't be able to unless it's some big. I don't know.
Anyway, this is not just like, hey, let's move a couple hours here. It's let's move across the entire country.
Yeah.
That's huge. And for him to agree to do that, he must really like her and feel stable with where they're at now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is a big, giant move that this guy is willing to take.
Yes. But we also learned that Taylor's parents don't want to be on camera or talk about this experience for now.
Right. So we don't get to see them. So we just see Garrett's side. And that is it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think their parents liked her. I think there's really not much of a problem or anything. It's just purely a time factor. So.
And that's all we saw of them this time.
That was it for all 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Wow.
They ended with them worrying ultimately about their parents' approval on their relationship and timeline on everything.
Well, what about, didn't they have to hang out with her friends?
Oh, I didn't write anything about that.
Oh.
But yeah, they did.
So yeah, we had a little bit of their parent, then we had a little bit afterward too, where some of Taylor's friends came over and got to meet Garrett, and they just had discussions, and I mean, they kept commenting how smitten and different Taylor was acting to Garrett. So for them, it really looked like she was quite interested in him, so that it wasn't just a hoax or some tag along thing. So it was actually genuine for her. So it does look like they have a lot, which I would agree.
Right. They both looked really comfortable with one another, and Taylor must have not been this comfortable with her previous relationships. So
Yeah.
that was nice to get the friends' approval on Garrett.
Yeah. So yeah, they're still looking strong. No fears, no doubts about them. They're pretty much golden.
Yeah. So let's go into a couple that we have said before. They've both looked pretty stable as well. Ashley and Tyler.
Yeah, so I don't even know where they opened up.
So if I had to quiz you right now on what happened.
All I remember was the very ending where the
okay, yeah, we can't talk
kid
about
thing
that yet.
goes out.
Okay.
That's it.
So Tyler meets Ashley's dad for the first time, and her dad asks him some good questions. What? And Ashley gets up from the table and leaves, and Tyler has a private moment with her father.
I have to say, all the private moments, they feel so
awkward,
staged. I don't know. It's like,
it feels awkward though.
Well, it's just like the transition into it. It's like, I'm going to go to the restroom now, or I think I need to go get something over here.
And where does Ashley go that whole time?
I mean, probably just some other table at the
I
restaurant that they're at. Which I guess too, I mean, all the parents, I mean, specifically it's always all the dads, I mean, having the blessing. I mean, they must know this is coming. Well, I guess they have to know it's coming, but I don't know. There's probably not much surprise to this whole thing, cause especially when she leaves. Clearly, why else would I need to have a one-on-one with the guy?
So he meets her father for the first time, and in that first short conversation, he's like, "Hey, by the way, can I have her hand in marriage?"
Yeah, which this is. I can't imagine. That's just meeting someone like that, and then just having to, hey, by the way, can I marry your daughter? Like,
weird.
Hi, my name's so and so. Can I marry your daughter?
Nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So the father says yes. He wants the best for her. He wants her to be happy, and he gets emotional, and he says, "Don't play. This is my only daughter."
Yeah, so he kind of, he even gets a little emotional about this, and he wants to protect her, and Tyler seems serious about it, and yeah, I mean, it's a good interaction, and I think it was nice for how short and quick it has to be, but
So then after this beautiful scene, we see the worst fight that they have had, the only fight they've had. And Tyler tells Ashley about his kids, 2 girls and a boy. And he says he was a sperm donor.
And that he also knows which I don't know how this was possible, but I guess unless there's some agreement, but he knows the person, the mother of these people,
his friend,
and
he was helping her.
Oh, right, because it's some connection thing. And
so she was in a relationship with, I don't know if she was married to her wife, but he decided to help them as a couple have children, and then her partner left her. I don't know if all of this was said actually in the episode. There's so many behind the scenes things that have been said about this now.
Yeah, that wasn't said.
Okay. Well, what we know on the episode is he was trying to help a friend, he says, in this situation.
Yeah. Well, and two, leading up to, I mean, this was very weird that it took this long to even talk about this, mainly because it seems like he's been constantly bringing up children and kids and
like, I can't wait to have kids. And
yeah, like he's been really, and she's like, well, I kind of would like to, have like 2 years or something at least for just us, and then maybe look into that or something. He's like, I need him now and all this. But then there's like all this weird pressure, and I guess this explains why, because he already has.
He has a secret kids.
That he's never. I don't know. It's weird.
And he brings this up after the pods, after they're engaged, after they've spent all this time together. And rightfully so. Ashley is upset about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this, I don't know, this train that she just got clobbered with out of left field with this news. So, I mean, it's clearly a pretty big of a roadblock to have to get across and navigate. But yeah, I did not think, and they've been so great up to this point. Then there was this, and I was like, oh, well, this kind of, I don't know, this kind of puts a curveball on their whole thing. I mean, I think she'll probably be able to get past it, but at least so far, what things look like. I mean, I think it's probably just gonna, bring the relationship down a little bit, and it's just gonna take a while to probably get over it and move on. But I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker, but it's just a lot for her to take at this point. So
yeah, and I think the way she handles this is very mature, considering everything that's happened. And
yeah, she doesn't get mad. I mean, she doesn't really like blow up on him and get angry, and
she's
just like lets her
upset.
emotions. Right. Yeah, she's got her emotions in check and is being rational about the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, she handled it very, very well, and especially for the news it was. So yeah, no, kudos to her. She did this great.
But I felt really bad for her, because how can you hide something that huge? And like she said, I'm not mad that you have these children or that you did this. I'm mad because you didn't tell me about it until now. And I just found out about it. And you kind of just feel like played a little bit by it.
Yeah, it's like this, I guess. I mean, I don't know why wait so long for this. I don't know if he just thought maybe she would be put off by this. I think it's because it's like he's almost, I mean, I guess we'll see because this was at like the very end of episode 9, so we haven't seen what happens next. But, well, I have not seen what happens next. But I guess it's because he's so interwoven, like with them, like with the children. It's not like he just had this and they're somewhere else in the world or something. There's no connection, but he has some connection to it that it makes it, which I think it is. It kind of puts Ashley in a situation. So
yeah, when it's personal, it's with somebody that lives nearby.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a deal breaker, but I do think it's going to put a strain on things.
So a song comes on while they're talking about all of this, and the song says, "This didn't go how we planned it."
I wonder how long it took him to find that song that would be perfectly fitting to the situation.
So she asks him, do the kids know who you are? And he says, I don't think so. Remember?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So should I tell you what social media pulls up? Because it doesn't come up in the rest of the series. Some stuff comes up at the reunion, but
I don't know. No, not yet, because I want to see. I want to see how it plays out, and I want to formulate an idea and see if I'm right or
okay.
wrong.
Well, we will talk about more about the truth of what's going on with Tyler and his kids and the friend that he helped out.
Yeah. No, I want to see
because it's a lot.
It seems like this is gonna go down quite a rabbit hole. So no, I want to see what is shown, and I kind of want to build a theory on what's happening.
Let's talk about it when we get to the reunion recap.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how they end. It's just a big oh my gosh moment. So
cliffhanger. I'm sure it'll be the first thing we watch in the next episode, but yes. So.
Yep. So let's move on to Alex and Tim.
Yeah, so this one they're the ones we start off right as they had their big crux moment at the end of the 6th episode.
They almost broke up.
Yeah, where Tim was ready to call it quits already on everything, and
after Alex called him some names.
Yes, other than his own name. In the words of him.
I like that. I like that phrase.
Yeah. So they make up, of course. I mean, there was some tension, and he's willing to. It seems like probably one more. As long as that doesn't happen again, they'll be okay. That'll be determined to see what happens. But so they're okay. They make up. And after, I mean, they've been okay so far. I mean, there's still some things that he does that kind of irritates her that we kind of see throughout the thing or like the episodes, and I don't know if he'll ever learn that agitates her or not. I don't know if he just doesn't see it or just doesn't care, or
the dog talk.
Yeah, like that, and then. Well, actually, the hat thing we already saw that, so that wasn't. Never mind.
Well, we learned that Alex likes to cuddle at night, and Tim says he sleeps hot. He sleeps hot, so he doesn't want any cuddling.
Yes. Yeah.
So we see Tim meeting Alex's family, and he talks with her father separately, like somebody else did.
Yeah, so they have like a grilling session for lunch or something, and
grilling session as in they're grilling Tim or just they're grilling food.
Good question. It was both. I don't know. There wasn't really. I feel like that hardcore of a grill session. It was just asking some questions.
I mean, they did have him in the center, and he looked like he was sweating answering a bunch of questions. But the family looked very like open and just like nice people, like all just talking to him. But he did look like he was like trying to present, and he was like talking to every person. It's like you're talking to a lot of people.
Yeah,
too,
right.
So,
sure. I mean, yeah. So they have that, and then her father is the one that has the MS. So,
but she did say her mom had MS as well, right?
Yes, yeah, right.
But her father has the advanced.
Yes, the severe case of it.
What about a stepmother?
She's the one who's present, I thought, at this thing.
No, they said it's the first time they've been in the same room together for years.
Yeah, all right.
Her mom sitting on the opposite side as her dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I thought this was really beautiful that they came together for their daughter and their family. I thought that said a lot about how much they care about everything. So that was really nice to see. And yes, her dad has the advanced MS diagnosis. And so what was really important to Tim was getting to know Alex's father and then also grabbing a moment alone with him. And so he asks everybody to clear the table except for her dad, which they're all in the middle of eating. And then they all go, okay, okay. And then they all like go and rush out to the balcony.
A weird moment.
Yeah. And her dad's like in the middle of like chewing something. He's like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I like to use the same, it's like his go-to phrase with the whole military thing with the father as well. You know, he said, the best decision I made was joining the military, and the second best decision I made was leaving the military. He said that to Alex, and then he said it to the father. So it's his like go-to phrase. But no, I mean, I think it was very easy for the father to like him, and then her dad was a big golfer, as she stated earlier, and so he did it, and so they were able to have some things to
talk about,
relate and enjoy. So yeah, I mean, he seems to easily have no fears about letting this guy marry his daughter. So
this was the most like touching scene. When I saw this the first time, I was like a puddle of tears because it was just so touching and beautiful. I could barely look at the screen because Tim pulls out the letter that he wrote to Alex in the pods, and it was a letter dedicated to her father, just talking about how much it meant to get his permission. And
yeah, well, he was like, I wrote this letter for here, and I'd like to read it to you as well. And yeah, he does that.
So he pulls it out, starts reading it. The father, you can see, is getting visibly emotional about the whole thing. And he says, I believe in you and I accept you as my son, which was really nice.
Yeah.
When he said, I accept you as my son, that was so touching.
Yeah, I mean, it was very...
Did you look over at me when he was saying this? Cause
yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, the whole thing was a very nice moment. Oh, and the father, of course, you know, he kind of had the same story as Ashley's father, because Alex was the only daughter that he had. So he was saying, oh, this is my baby girl, and take care of her and do all the right things. And so, yeah, no, I mean, it was a very wholesome moment for the two of them.
Yeah. It's special that these women had fathers that could be there.
Yeah.
Very touching.
Yeah.
I can't watch that scene again because I'll get really emotional. So the family is very supportive and nice. And after this, we get to see what Tim's personal house looks like. And he calls it the modern man cave.
Yeah, which I would kind of expecting military, a very tightly knit home, and everything's prim and proper and clean and put away.
Yeah, I thought it looked really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And then you had all these like crazy art decorations, and
wait, talk about the picture of him.
Yeah, this was a little strange. But then I don't know. Then I thought, I was like, wow, I'd actually be, just for the fun of it, almost like to see what I look like in a royal suit like this. He's basically.
I want to see you in a picture like that.
He's in like a Napoleon military suit. It's like almost like a Royal England photo, like military general with all the badges and then he's got his dog in it as well next to him, which that was a little strange.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't know if I saw that.
Yeah, they had the two of them side by side. It was him and his dog.
That is pretty cool.
In the suits, but I mean, luckily it was like in his closet, so it wasn't really on publicly displayed. So I feel like that'd be an appropriate place to put that. I'd probably not want that in my living room.
We could get family pictures.
Yeah,
everybody could be in that outfit. That'd be great.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
But Alex says, oh yeah, we definitely need to like replace the couch, even though the couch had a bunch of really cool recliners.
I don't understand. She has like this weird obsession because it was like Lazy Boy too. She's like apparently against that brand or something. And it had automatic reclining a feature, and then she hated that.
Wouldn't you be like, thank you for this, for having this? This is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't understand what is the why
What's
do
the
you not
issue?
like this? Yeah.
Right.
Which this was like something too that I don't know. She had this weird thing about, and then he was, which I mean, yeah, I don't know. Actually, just scratch that. But yeah, this I don't understand her against this.
Yeah, I didn't get it. And I did like that his dog had his own personal couch as well.
Yeah.
He really cares for his dog. That's really sweet.
Yeah. That was quite the couch for for the animal.
That's really nice. So then we take a look at Alex's place, and her apartment is the exact opposite of Tim's house.
Yeah, hers is a nightmare. Like, it was terrible.
We learn she is a hoarder. It's messy. It's a disaster. There's trash bags everywhere. And she says, well, you know, I put stuff all in trash bags. There's some I want to donate. There's some I want to throw out. There's some I want to keep, but I don't know which are which. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, hers being like messy was like an understatement. It was
A disaster.
I mean,
area.
it was like her bedroom was like there was clothes galore. I mean, she must have 6,000 pairs of clothes. Because the closet was like filled halfway high, like probably to my waist level, like 3 feet high of clothes. And then coming out of the closet on the floor, clothes were all on the floor. They were on the bed. They were like everywhere. I don't know how internally he was. I mean, it would have been great to like read his mind in those moments.
I feel like he was playing it real cool. He's like, oh, wow.
But yeah, he showed no emotion. They're like, oh, yeah, it's totally fine.
Well, he's probably like, I'm being filmed and this is absolutely crazy. I don't know what to do here. But in his mind, yeah, he has to be thinking like, we can't, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
We're too opposite.
Yeah.
Can't have this happen.
Because
he's so clean and he takes care of all of his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the other one looked like he had like a professional cleaning crew come in right before they looked at his place.
Mm-hmm.
And then hers looked like she hasn't cleaned it ever since she moved into that place.
Which, if you ever get casted on this show, you probably should get a professional cleaning crew.
Yeah, wouldn't I be self-conscious to know that I'm going to have my apartment or living space on national television? Wouldn't I want to look?
Even if you only get a few weeks in advance notice that like you got picked for the show or you're definitely moving forward.
A few weeks? I mean,
you could move mountains to try to clean your house.
I could spend a weekend clean it all and be done with it.
Or you know what? Get a storage rental place, dump all of your garbage and stuff into it.
All right, that'd be like take more time than just to clean it.
Just to, yeah, well, true. I'm talking about as a last resort or something, but
yeah,
that's
I know, between
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she would not be able to fit all that in her car. She need to get like a U-Haul.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying dump it off somewhere.
Yeah, so get a U-Haul. I'm going to get a U-Haul and come back, fill it up, go to a storage unit, rent a storage unit, dump it all there, take it back to the U-Haul place, get my car, come back home, and I'm gonna have to do it all again after the show. Or I could just clean it and be done with it.
Yeah, I don't think she likes to clean, so
yeah,
that's
clearly.
And let's end with this. There was a sticker of herself on her fridge door when she opened it. She goes, "Oh, look, there's me."
Yeah. She has a bunch of these apparently. I don't know why. It's very strange. He also thought it was quite strange. And jokingly, he said he would take one because she's like, oh, I can give you one.
He's like, thanks.
But yeah, no. I think he was very terrified of
Very terrified.
that. probably wanted to run for the hills after seeing all that.
Yeah, it was quite the scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Let's move on to Monica and Steven now. Steven! So we open up with a little fight. So Monica says she wants Steven's actions to line up with his words. She said, in the pod, Steven, you told me that you would get me flowers. And Steven says, well, I thought we were just talking about that like metaphorically, or like it was just a metaphor for something.
Yeah, this was, I mean, I don't know. There's the love language thing, I guess. And she re-emphasizes to him that she wants things. She wants nice things, and that's how she knows you love her. Even though I don't think that's a great definition of love, but
yeah. Well, Monica says she loves gifts.
Yeah, and then she goes like Louis Vuitton, and he's like, "What is that?" And then she's like, or because he said Coach, and she's like, more like Louis Vuitton, and
Steven probably has never heard of any of these like fancy designer brands. He's like, what?
Yeah, not a clue. But then to take it to that level was just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really strange because you can't just be happy with like someone picking out something for you at Target or something. You have to go like.
Yeah, a purse is a purse. It holds stuff. What is the difference between a Target brand purse versus a Louis Vuitton purse? I don't know.
I feel like that's being way over the top.
Especially for him, because I mean, he's got a blue collar job, so it's not like this guy's racking in millions of dollars to be able to afford this type of stuff anyway. So she wants $1,000 bags. Meanwhile, this guy's making $1,000 in 2 weeks' time. So I don't know.
Steven says, "Oh well, gifts are important to you. They're not really that important to me." This is like a huge difference.
Well, yeah, and then they even talked about, this was actually kind of sad, the Christmas thing, because she's like, "Oh, we get all this stuff," and then he was like, "I haven't had a real Christmas," and
or
like actually really gotten a Christmas gift probably in like 8 or 9 years or something. Like it was, which I don't know, that was like kind of sad, but
oh my gosh,
I mean, but it's just not, it's a different thing for him. Their values are just different in this way.
Very different.
So this is where a clash is, but.
Steven says, hopefully our financial upbringing doesn't cause too many issues. I don't think it should be a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Monica says she doesn't want to sound materialistic, but she likes feeling special, and she can only feel special when Steven buys her things. So.
Yeah, which is a red flag. Then we didn't talk about, because I guess this was still the honeymoon, right? Episode 7 was still the honeymoon thing, right? Because this was the whole part where like
this actually comes after. Yeah, this comes right after.
Oh, so we skipped the firework thing.
No, it is now.
Oh, okay.
Their first fight was about the purse and everything.
Right. Okay.
This is their second fight.
Yeah.
So then they have another fight, and this time it's because Monica said to Steven, "Hey, look, there's fireworks. Let's go watch them together." And Steven was brushing her off and continued on in his conversation with Garrett, and she had to go watch the fireworks without him.
This I don't know. I think this Steven just had bad. He just is not able to read a room well. I mean, you could clearly tell the whole point of this was for her to, she wanted this. She wanted to have a moment with him, to look at the fireworks, to snuggle up watching fireworks together. And I don't know, he says he has this deep, intense conversation with Garrett that he just felt like would have been rude if he left. But I don't know. I would think in that, seeing that like that's what came up, the fireworks and everything, like I would have to be like, all right, excuse me, we're gonna have this, pause for 10 minutes.
Especially if you see your fiance coming up to you saying, "Hey, let's go do this." wouldn't Garrett say, "Oh, go ahead, man. Like we can catch up later."
Right. I mean, he should think that it's
The two of
all
them
right.
didn't acknowledge this, which is strange. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, this was just poor choice on Steven's part. So she watches it. Everybody else is all together with their people. I don't know. I guess Garrett and Taylor weren't together for this, but I guess Taylor really didn't care about watching fireworks. So, but
yeah, she didn't care.
So everybody else was besides them, and then Monica comes back, and then she plays this super petty move of, "Oh, the fireworks were great. And I had such a great time snuggling with my, imaginary partner and watching the fireworks."
And Steven's like, "You don't understand. Garrett's conversation was very intense. I had to talk to him."
Yeah. I don't know. That's
bad. Bad.
Yeah.
So
now she's. The cracks are really starting to form now.
So then they go to a flower pressing activity together. So instead of getting Monica flowers, Steven goes to press flowers.
Yeah, they go to this date thing, which I guess it was kind of clever on his part. I don't know if he came up with this or if the producers just put them in this setting. But
flowers that will last forever, so he doesn't have to keep buying her flowers.
Yeah, if he came up with this, then I'll give him points because this was actually kind of smart. Where they take some flowers and I guess put in like a glass casing or something to kind of. But I mean, they're still gonna die, right?
I think they're like preserving them.
But how are they preserved? Or they use some chemical compound to do it?
Probably.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, they're taking flowers and they're putting between two pieces of glass and then they hang it up. And they do this as the date. And then this is weird. Monica asks the person that was hosting this, like, whose is better? And she's like, I don't know. Oh, they're both great or whatever. Right. Which is what any normal person should. And then she's pressing her to like, no. Like, you need to say whose is better. And so then she picks Steven's, and then she's like really offended by it. She's like,
she's like, but then
I
you
lost
had
to
some
a man on decorations or something, basically. Like,
well, she said, well, you had like a nice way you designed yours, but his color scheme is better.
Yeah, I don't know, the way she was like pressing her on like, I need an answer of who is better.
But instead, she
weird.
put the instructor in a very awkward position, and
yeah,
she was still trying to flatter Monica as well. But
I don't know. At that point, I would have probably just said, yeah, yours is better. Like, really just because you clearly have some weird obsession with this. I'm sure Steven could have cared less if he had the less looking better one compared to her.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know. But yeah, this was kind of funny. I was like, here's your flowers.
Forever.
Yeah.
Now I never have to buy you them again. So some more weird things. Steven licks Monica's face when she went in for a kiss. This was actually like, what the heck? That's uncalled for.
Yeah.
And then we learned Steven doesn't have a job anymore. And he said he had a feeling that he would come back to having no job. And Monica said, that's okay. I can be your sugar mama. And he says, why, thank you. And then he said that she can treat him like a piece of meat again after this.
Yeah. So I guess, clearly, if you're out for weeks, I don't know. He probably just.
I'm wondering, is he a contractor? And then he was out of like a specific job at the time.
He could have been. Yeah. Well, who knows? He could be contracting or he could be like a full-time employee to somebody. And he just, I don't know, took as much PTO as he could have, but then he didn't come back in time and they just said, we got to let you go or something. But nonetheless, he's now jobless and she's kind of helping pull his end of the until things. So little does she know she will not be getting any more flowers since he has no way to buy them now.
That's why he took her to the flower pressing.
Yeah.
And he's like, producers, please pay for this. So then we see the worst fight of all, the relationship ending fight.
1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
Yes, and it was so terrible. So we see Monica sitting on the couch in their shared apartment with Taylor, actually.
I gotta say real quick, the way they transitioned I don't know. I guess that's all you had to do. It just they were very jarring to just put them the way they did. Like it was just like everything, you had your scene, whoever's scene was being, spotlighted, and then just boom, then it's just like the dark room, it's her in tears and all
Yeah,
this
I wonder
stuff,
if
like all these.
the producers just came there for the day and the fight already broke out and they had to hurry up and whip their cameras out or what.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Because like both of these, theirs and the Ashley and Tyler one, were just like
that one. I think they definitely said you need to talk about this on camera because they found out completely off camera. So they like set that one up. I think Ashley may have talked about that in a podcast or something, but like they talked about it when the cameras weren't there, and they said, "Well, we don't know what you talked about. Right. Talk about it." And then he was all uncomfortable because I don't think he wanted to talk about it on camera. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and especially too to have to do it again when it's like almost just for a show at that point.
Like yeah, but you can still tell that they were still emotional about this and they were still processing it and talking about it anyway. So
yeah, which I mean, I would hate to have to do it again, but
I'm sure they would have talked about it again because they weren't over it. But yeah. So anyway, we learned that Steven says he was at a sleep test last night, so he wasn't in the apartment with Monica. And we see Steven in the background when Taylor and Monica are just talking together on the couch, which is really weird. He's like rummaging through the kitchen while Monica's crying and Taylor's upset. And then Taylor walks out and leaves because she knows this is the moment that Steven and Monica need to talk together about everything.
Right, yeah.
So we learned Monica discovered that there were messages between Steven and somebody else. And these messages were very explicit in nature and were just terrible messages to find on somebody else's phone.
Yeah, which, I don't know, some of the fight he talks about, which is just weird on his part. He was just like, well, I get back in the real world, I'm going to get all these messages of people now, and they're, it's almost like he's, popular now. Wonder why he came on the show then, but but he's getting all these, these messages from people now, and then I guess, I don't know, he just has no self-control to just ignore these messages.
I mean, zero self-control. So what he says is he's at a sleep study, and then later on he says, I made a mistake when I was drunk at the sleep study, which I don't know any sleep studies that you can go in, get wasted, and then not even know like what you said in the message chat. And then Monica says, Steven, these messages were still going on this morning. And he's like, oh. And he said, or she said, well, pull out the phone and we'll look at him. He goes, oh, I deleted them all already. So obviously he knew he did something wrong here.
Yeah. I actually was just thinking, I didn't even put this together. I wonder if obviously he wasn't at a sleep study, but.
No, well, not obviously.
Yeah.
We will talk more about what actually happened at the reunion.
I was going to say what they actually. Well, I was going to say, because I was just thinking the money thing. He may have almost been like, this is a way for me to make some money while I'm looking for a job or something, is to participate in something like this.
A sleep study?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume, right? They would compensate you probably for that. So.
Well, I think he was actually at the sleep study because I think he does have some sleep issues. Like he may have sleep apnea or something.
Oh. Well,
well, yeah.
See at the reunion,
but the fact that he said he was drunk at the sleep study really just blows this whole sleep study like to pieces, because how can you get an accurate read on somebody?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty bizarre.
You're going to have a really tough night sleeping if you've consumed a large amount of alcohol in the process. So
right.
Steven says he doesn't remember texting the person today, but he says he's taking full responsibility. He's going to get his things and go ahead and leave, because I think he knows he is so guilty in this whole thing that there's nothing else he can do at this point. He just ruined the entire relationship. And I think what he did say, this may be at the reunion, but it was like an Instagram DM message with.
Yeah, this is reunion stuff.
Okay. So very graphic, explicit messages with another woman took place. And it was so bad they can't move past it. He says he shouldn't have been on the show because of how he acted. And Monica's very upset. And he says, I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone now.
Well, and then, right. I mean, and that was a bad thing to say because then she also picked up on that. And then she was like, well, you know, it did. And then I got stuck with you. And now my whole experience has been ruined from the thing. And
yeah. But she says, first, before you leave, you're going to pay me back for carrying your weight. You need to Venmo me the amount that you owe me.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll send you some money. She goes, no, do it now. Take out your phone now. And then he actually takes out his phone and you can hear the like, ka-ching.
Right. Which I think we saw a TikTok on this where he mentioned it was like $400 or something. It wasn't, well, I guess I don't know how many days passed since the first time or their first conversation about it. But anyway, it wasn't like tons and tons of money. But
all right. But it was
I mean, for him who's now unemployed and probably doesn't have that much to begin with. So
it was amount large enough to where it's like, okay, I need to pay that back immediately.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was kind of wise for her to ask for that because who knows if she would have ever gotten that back.
Right. Well, yeah, because this is probably the last time she would have.
Right. Like, do it in front of me because you're saying, oh, yeah, I'll pay you back some other time. I don't want to interact with you anymore after this.
Yeah.
Let's just get it done now so you can go ahead and leave and then we can not have to talk after this then.
Yeah.
So something I thought was really nice, Taylor and Garrett come back to the apartment once Steven leaves and they comfort Monica after this whole thing happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was, I guess because Monica and Taylor, I guess, made good friends while on all this. So, yeah, so they come together, and that was nice of her to kind of comfort her in a time of need.
Yeah. So that's the only good thing that came out of this whole scene.
Yeah.
And that is the end of Monica and Steven until we get to the reunion.
Yeah, so we no longer have to cover them.
Until the reunion. There'll be some big things.
Yeah, at least for the...
for the time being.
Yeah, we can drop them. So yeah, at least one... there was one... there was one... I'm 1 for 1 so far on the calling the failed relationship. Well, failed or successful, but...
Right.
I knew they were going to go down, and they went down.
Now,
I will say I was not expecting it to go down like this, but I was expecting it to probably be for other, especially seeing like how she was getting the fights with some of the interaction, like the 2 fights before this. I was, but
there were a lot of fights.
Yeah, but seeing it unfold like this, no, I did not. I would have not expected it to.
You would have expected it to end just based off of they're not compatible with each other, right?
Yeah, like it would have been before they got to the wedding. They would have realized, like, hey, this is just not really gonna work.
Working
I don't
out.
think.
Not working out at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just too many arguments or something. But
right. Yeah. So this was shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. Yeah. This was not expected.
But then going back to when they first met in the pod, Steven admitted that he cheated in the past.
Yeah, and so it's
which is kind of ironic that you would then cheat so fast into this relationship or just cheat at all after you have admitted like this was a big mistake. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and this leads me to believe he opens up with saying he cheated in the past purely to try to look like he's he's out of it, he's past it, he's mature now, and that to potentially someone looking at that would say, oh well, it sounds like if he's willing to talk about this and stuff, he's definitely past it. And so
he's probably using that in his
it was like a total manipulation thing, I think, from the get-go to kind of win someone over.
Or maybe he'd be afraid like, oh, they might hear from other people that I'm a cheater. Let me go ahead and tell them that I've cheated.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, so yeah, I mean, in the beginning you don't know him, right? So it seems like, hey, maybe he is, he's serious about this now and he doesn't want to do this again, but
Right.
he's not. What you mentioned too is like, oh, I'm in therapy about this or something. So then like it really just started, like all of the skeletons really were just like popping out all at once, like in the argument. So
terrible.
So yeah. So anyway, thrown to the side. Moving
Goodbye,
on.
Monica and Steven. Opening up with Ramses and Marissa. Marissa was in the Navy for 7 years. She has experience with boats. She tells Ramses as she is on a boat with him.
We soon find out that he has quite the stigma against military people.
Yes.
I mean, but yes, they're on this boat. They have a nice time. They enjoy each other's company, and yeah, that date goes well.
But we're easing into Ramses' hatred for the military.
Yeah, this becomes the focal point of their whole relationship, at least at this part, or this point in time. Because, I mean, it was a big part of her life, for a while. Because, I mean, she's not that old, so pretty much most of her adult life so far has basically just been military. So,
and her family was in the military as well.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, and then a lot of her friends are, well, obviously, she made...
From the military,
right. Made friends in the military and still connected with them, so...
So even though she's not still in the military, it's always going to be something that was a part of her life a great deal, so...
Yeah.
So before Ramses' hatred for the military stuff starts, we learn that Marissa wants to have an all black attire wedding.
Yeah, she's very non-formal and quite radical with this envisionment she has of her wedding.
So she wants to have the officiant be a female, and they have to be a female, and it can be spiritual, but she says God can take a back seat for this one. And then Ramses says, well, my mother's going to be pretty upset about that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we see that Marissa's commuting a lot from work to home, and she looks exhausted. She's traveling for hours every day, which does not look sustainable to do.
Yeah, so she's driving. Well, I don't know. It's crazy. She's saying it was like 2 hours each way, or at least on the way back on one of the days.
Yeah.
So
it looked exhausting. She's wearing high heels coming in after traveling all that way. It's just exhausting. So Ramses is cooking dinner for her, which is nice, but he didn't cook the noodles well enough because she's like, wow, these noodles are really hard, but thank you for cooking.
Yeah.
What does she say? Al dente?
Yes.
Oh, no, she says alla dente.
Well, you're right. Yeah, I guess she had this different accent to it.
Well, isn't it el dente?
Well, yeah, it's all, I mean,
Al dente?
kind of how your accent is. I mean, I say al dente, but I mean, if you want to say al dente.
Al dente. But anyways, the noodles were pretty hard. So she travels all day just to come home and eat some hard noodles.
Yeah.
And then to get bashed about her time in the military as well. So let's go into it. Let's go into Ramses' hatred of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is very strange. I mean,
so Marissa's like almost like saying, I know there's some parts that weren't the best about the military, but it did give me opportunities, but I don't support half of it. And Ramses is just like full force, very heavily critical of it. And Marissa's trying to show him the other side too. She's saying, the soldiers, what they sign up to do isn't easy. And then Ramses says, but they sign up for it. No one's holding a gun to their head to get them to sign up, which that's incredibly insulting to soldiers.
No, I mean this guy. Yeah.
And then Marissa says, well, I didn't sign up to kill people. And Ramses says, well, they have guns for a reason there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This guy just doesn't understand what's required to be in a free nation. And this level of immaturity towards the military is pretty bad.
I wonder what like people in the military thought while watching this scene.
I mean, it's a slap in the face to them, and I think it's pretty sick that he has this much disdain for them.
So Marissa says it's a huge part of her life and she doesn't want him to be ashamed of it. And he says, well, as long as it's in your past. Like, in other words, as long as it's in the past and we just don't have to talk about this again. That was the vibe I was getting from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's this. Yeah, and then I think they kind of have discussions with, when they have kids, how it will kind of come about with the discussions about that. And I mean, I already knew they kind of had some, like, I didn't think they were going to make it, but I do think this, like, seeing this is just a fork in the road that is, I think, ultimately going to separate them. Because I think it's just way too big of an issue to just be able to live like that when you have such opposite views with this. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she was even willing to meet him like a quarter of the way and say like, there's reasons why I, am no longer in the military. But he wasn't even like willing to hear anything positive that she had to say about it. He's just totally turned off by it. And then,
well, I think it's kind of funny that in the pods she had this guy, and then she also had a guy who was also in the military. So it's kind of funny how she had two completely opposite, different people of like viewpoints.
Yeah, completely opposite people. You can get more opposite in that aspect, but yeah. So then Ramses meets Maritza's friends, who some were in the military, and the subject comes up again, and they look pretty concerned about the whole situation, and he does say he would divorce her if she went back into the military, because they say, oh yeah, what if she goes back?
Yeah, which I mean, if you want to do that, then I don't know. I mean, I just don't see how they'll ever get past this. Because I mean, it's like he just wants her to never mention it again. That's like they've had this conversation, and then it's just gone after this, and then it's just something that will never be brought up again. And I just,
which, yeah, like you said, it's not going to work because she said she wants to show her kids like the
right.
So the different things in her past. So
it's going to create, I think, it would create way too many arguments between them going forward, and it's just going to be the same. It's going to be this circular argument for them that's just never going to get resolved.
Right.
Like every time it gets brought up, it's going to lead into the same thing, and then it's just this never-ending, like, death cycle of this. So
yeah,
I just I don't see. Which I don't know if I don't know. I guess there, this whole thing is just so fast. You just don't get enough time to talk about everything. Like how she's just learning now almost of his hatred this much for it. Like it almost seems like unless he really just kind of put on a show, which I'm sure he probably did somewhat.
Maybe
in
he
the
did.
Pods of where he like, oh yeah, like, oh, you were in the military, okay, like, and just said nothing about it, and now all of a sudden he's coming out with like this.
He was like trying to win over Marissa, so he didn't say like that many bad things about it.
Right. Well, especially too because she knew there was this other guy, so he probably knew if I say this thing, like she'll immediately just.
But he had to have known that would never work then if he's this against it.
Yeah, now. I don't. It's.
Yeah, it's foolish.
Strange to me.
So,
or he just didn't care and he just wanted to be on the show.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Yeah. Now aren't you wishing she picked Bowden?
I mean, I already thought to begin with he seemed like a much nicer, better guy for her than this guy was.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely thought so too.
So yeah.
So let's talk about Ramses meeting Marissa's siblings and her mother. Woo!
Yeah, now this was like the most intense grill session out of everyone.
Insane. Insane. The siblings, really nice people. Kind of quiet. The mom took up all the conversation for everybody here.
Yeah, which I mean, sure, I get that. That would be natural.
It makes sense, but she wasn't that nice at all.
No, I mean, she's very brash with the whole situation, and I mean, I kind of get it. I mean, you know, she kind of talked about, you know, it's just her with the 3 or 4 of them,
5 of them,
or 5 of them, yeah.
And all of the children, I think, have different fathers too. So she had a lot of failed relationships, and then she talked about that a lot. She said she doesn't believe in marriage and in the integrity of having a long-term relationship, and she doesn't think Marissa and Ramses will be forever, and so she talked a lot about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like this woman had a lot of hardships, and she's kind of had those have kind of skewed her vision of how she kind of looks at the world now. And so yeah, she kind of has this pessimistic view almost of things, and then too, I get it, because so she actually mentions, you know, the whole prenup thing too with because she's I guess she's in law school. She's like a law clerk currently, but I guess she's in law school to become a lawyer. So,
which this is so. Yes, I definitely understand. Get a prenup because you're getting a marriage done with people that you've only known for 4 to 6 weeks. Sure, maybe all couples need that because this is crazy how fast you're going with all these things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If there's one has assets, then for sure.
Even I don't know. I guess Marissa's mom is talking way into the future when she does have money,
that was
which is the craziest part.
Because she doesn't, right? She has nothing right now, but she'll
you
be
know
a
how
lawyer and make
in debt she's going to be when she gets out of law school.
Right. Well, and then since she believes too that marriage won't last, then I mean, when by her timeline, by the time Marissa pays everything off and she can actually start making money, they would already be failed at that point.
So why does she care?
So I don't even understand her whole reasoning with this thing. But yeah, so I mean, but I mean, if she understood or thought that it was a lasting thing, I could understand the prenup more because if she had a rough time growing up and raising all the children and having to do all that.
Yeah, I think she was pretty much left on her own, and she had to work multiple jobs. I think she said she had to go back to school and take care of all the kids, and so
I get her understanding of like trying to protect her and wanting her to
it
be able
definitely
to
makes
have
sense.
some financial stability versus going through hardships like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing was a little strange. And so yeah, she kind of has this view, but yeah, she just kind of lays into him question after question. And I'll admit, like, I lost a lot of respect for the guy, but I will say he handled this pretty well.
I was about to say, like, he won back respect with the way he was handling all of just like the bashing comments that Marissa's mom would say to him. Like, he handled it so well. And I mean, I think any other person could have crippled or folded and it would have been a disastrous situation. Like, let's go over some of the comments that Marissa's mom said to him. So first, Marissa's mom said that they look like siblings, which was the comment that Hannah said.
Yeah, I mean, for the mother to point this out, I thought that was kind of a little strange.
Now 2 people have said that.
Yeah, which I mean, they kind of do, but I don't know.
So Marissa's mom says off the bat she hates his style, and she's just very strong. She calls Marissa, her daughter, the B word.
Yeah, I mean this I don't know. The mother is quite. I don't even know what to say. I mean, all I can just say is, like I said, I don't know. She's the way the world has kind of warped her perceptions of things, and it's just
Kind of crazy.
honestly, it's sad to see, but I don't know. That is what it is. But
Marissa's mom, when she says she doesn't believe in the longevity of marriage, Ramsey's response is, "Oh, is that you giving me your blessing right now?" Like he comes back with a quick, lighthearted joke, even though he's getting ripped to shreds and it's so crazy.
yeah, I mean, it's quite shocking for him to even make that remark. But yeah,
Yeah, that was the best you can do in that situation, probably.
yeah.
And then she says, "Well, if you hurt my daughter, I will cut you."
I don't-
And then the song says in the background that Netflix picked, off with ya. I'ma cut you clean.
yeah, yeah. I mean that.
It's like that is like the closely like
How
the
long it
most
took him to
close related
find
song. Yeah.
that one as well.
Like she got finished saying the line. There was like a 3-second like dee-dee-dee-dee, and then it goes off with you.
Yeah, they probably went to like Google. It's like a song about cutting, and it's like, all right, we found it. Here it is. Let's put this one in. That's not like too mainstream that we can't get the rights to.
Why does it have to be so literal? I don't understand this. It was funny
Yeah.
though. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny that they actually found a song to match what she just said.
Yeah.
Then you pointed out that they repeated a song that they already used called In the Stars.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember.
I think it was like during the trip to Mexico they may have used it.
Right. They used it. I don't know. I just noticed it was familiar, but I don't know. I just kind of thought it was funny that they were now reusing songs. But I mean, sure, it was some happy moment that they wanted to capture. But I just was like, oh, wow, they're actually going to recycle songs.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
They probably just spent so much money to get the off with you, I'm gonna cut you clean song that they had to reuse another song. So these two end these episodes with reviewing how the time went, and Marissa says, "Yeah, my mom needs therapy." So she like admits that her mom
Yeah.
is very brash and
Right.
understands that. So then they get into a fight about Marissa not wanting to go on birth control, but then Ramses doesn't want to use alternative methods to birth control and says that would not be comfortable for him.
Yeah, so because he wants like 4 or 5 years, I think, and she would be open more, much sooner
For kids.
So yes, yeah. So they have a conflict here about timelines with that. So
Yeah, but now Ramses, we were concerned about him because of all of his opinions about the military, and then he redeemed himself a little bit with how he interacted with Marissa's mom, and then he plummeted when he said, that's not a good method for me because you don't want to go on birth control. So
yes, yeah. So,
because it was all about his selfish needs at that point.
Yeah.
So we end on a sad note for Ramses and Marissa on this issue.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is another. I don't know. We're seeing, kind of substantial issues that are kind of roadblocking them on two fronts now. So all it's doing is further are validating that they are not going to be making it. I would definitely think they'd fail by reunion time then, but I don't know if they were going to say no at the altar. I'd kind of be inclined like that could potentially happen, seeing that these issues. It's probably going to get worse, but I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I know they're for sure not going to make it, but
doesn't look too promising.
But whether, they make it by altar time, that's debatable, I guess.
Yeah. So let's bring up the mood and talk about Nick and Hannah now.
Yes. Duck riding Nick.
Thank goodness we're now past that fight. But we're on to some other fights. So Hannah says she thinks she's more mature and more emotionally intelligent than Nick. Nick says he doesn't know how to mount a TV. He can't make a salad. And he can't do other basic tasks.
Or boil pasta.
Yeah. So Hannah says that she's very independent. And Nick, well, he lives with his parents. And he says it didn't make sense to spend rent on a place while he was playing football, but he has never lived alone before. And we get to see Nick's crib, a.k.a. his parents' house.
Yeah, so we find out he is still living with his parents.
And he has a room upstairs and downstairs because his childhood room is the one upstairs.
Well, yeah, he's not using that one, but
it just has all of his books and everything else in it.
Converted the room into another type of living space that still holds his child room when he was there. So, but yeah, he now lives in the basement to try to be a little more mature. Which then Hannah talks to. She's like, "Oh, well, you talked about like you had a pool table in your apartment and you did all this fun stuff
and it was."
But no, it's like, and then it's like it got a bunch of stuff stacked on it. Like it probably hasn't even been used in a while.
It was like thrown in a closet or something.
Yeah.
Storage area.
Yeah.
So we learn that Nick has his own cat, but Nick's dad feeds the cat his breakfast every morning.
Oh yeah, because he wakes up too early for him to have to feed him.
Yeah, he says, well, my dad's up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. I'm not up at that time, so it just makes sense. My dad just feeds my cat. And she goes, you don't feed your own cat, Nick?
Yeah, this was like ridiculous. I mean, you have an animal that your parents are still taking care of at this age.
Yeah, then shouldn't it be their animal?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is strange.
Yeah. So they have quite the different lives from before they met each other. But then we see them in their new apartment that they have together. And we open up with Hannah cleaning like crazy. Like she's cleaning counters that already look clean, a fridge door that looks spotless. And she looks like she's going like a little bit over the top with everything.
Yeah, so because he comes home and...
Yeah, he changes out of his dress clothes to get in more dress clothes.
Yeah, which this was weird. But he was like, oh, I've been sweating in these all day or something. I need fresh ones. Because then he's meeting a client or something later on because he's in real estate. So he has all these, hours and whatnot. But then, she's saying, I vacuum or I vacuum at least once a day or whatever to keep everything clean. And
she vacuums and sweeps every single day.
Which I guess she does it when she's employed as well. But I was saying one thing right now is, I mean,
she's not employed.
She quit her show quit to be on the show. So sure, yeah, you've got a lot of time on
now.
Your hands
It would be
right
easy,
now.
but yeah, if you're working 40 hours a week, it'd become more challenging. But Nick goes, "Oh, you vacuum and sweep every day? Like I do that every 2 weeks in my basement area."
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a disconnect here.
And as soon as he walks through the door, Hannah says, "Can you take out the trash? Can you take out the trash?" Like instantly.
Right. And then as they're eating, they have a conversation about it where she's like, it's great that you do, the things when I ask you to do them, but it'd be great if you would just do them without me asking you.
Yeah. And she goes, trash? That should be your thing. Your thing. And then she says that Nick needs to do her laundry and also he should take her dog outside.
Yeah, and this I didn't understand because, well, one, he's already got his parents taking care of his cat in the morning. But then she sat here and like started pawning off her dog almost for him to have to help with that, which that doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
first, let's just get Nick to feed his own cat, and then we can move on to the dog.
Yeah, it's shocking that she's even asking him to do that when he's not doing it for his own pet.
That's true.
But even the fact that she's asking that was very strange.
It was weird, like weird chore assignment things happening. And then they talk a little bit about finances. Hannah says that she spends $300 a week on herself for groceries. And Nick's like, well, I don't buy food and I don't cook food. So he spends $0 a week. And they're talking about like who would pay the bills. And Hannah says, well, I'm more financially literate than you are, so I'll pay the bills. And she goes, well, what bills do you have, Nick? What bills do you have? And he's like, well, I have my car. And she goes, well, what about the phone bill? And he's like, oh, no, my parents pay for my phone. She's like, when would you ever pay for your phone bill? I don't know, if they decide they like want me off the plan at some point, or I don't know. Very crazy stuff.
Well, and we should even, she also asks him if he's familiar with stocks, and he is not familiar with that, and not familiar with setting up any retirement plan goals or anything of that sort. So, yeah, I would say she has a better financial literacy than he does. But
yeah, it's just her delivery is
yes,
bad. But what she's saying, I can't necessarily disagree with the content, but there's a nicer way to say all of this.
Yeah. Well, and even while they're quickly to jump back, while they're doing this while they're eating dinner,
Hannah says, like, you can help by, just start the pasta. Why don't you start boiling the pasta? He goes, oh, okay. And he looks in the fridge. What is he looking in the fridge for? You're not going to find pasta or a pot.
Yeah, so we discover this guy's probably never made the most simplistic of meals in his life, since he apparently has never done pasta before.
He says he's only boiled water once before in his whole life.
Oh, right. Yes, and then because then when he gets that, he says, well, how much should I fill the pot? Should I fill a quarter, halfway, three-fourths?
She's like, I don't know, just fill enough water to cover the pasta. And he's like, well, I just don't know how much water to put. And then he goes, after the water, how high do I turn this on? Yeah. What setting do I turn this on? Yeah.
No, what temperature?
And she's like, you don't know how to bring water to a boil, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, that is really scary
for his age. But
his mom's making all of the meals, and he needs to spend like one night a week, like learning from his mother in the kitchen.
Yeah. At this point in age,
at least. Yikes!
I don't know. I just say his parents probably did a bit of a disservice to him if he's
babying him this much.
I don't know, a lot. It sounds like he doesn't have a lot of familiarity with a lot of stuff.
How's he going to be an independent person?
Yeah.
Or be a person in a relationship where he can help out.
Right.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention that they're cleaning and making dinner, and the whole time Hannah's wearing this like black leather jacket, which I'd be like dying of a heat stroke in that leather jacket while I'm running around trying to clean and boil water and do all these things. So
yeah,
that's crazy. But they're making the meal for Hannah's brother to come over, and they eat together, and Nick gets to meet him for the first time. And Nick makes one joke about Hannah being unemployed, and this is the only time Nick has ever said anything like that to Hannah, and then she gets really offended.
Yeah, this was something about their relationship that really, I don't know, it's clearly a weak point in it. She is making jokes about him constantly.
And it's like not even, sometimes they're jokes and then other times they're just flat out just insults, like hundreds of insults a day. And then he says one little tiny joke, like,
Yeah.
about being unemployed. And then she says, well, yeah, that's uncalled for, and, gets upset.
Yeah. Some of them are actually, they're like, she plays them like a joke, but they're not even jokes at all. And
what she's doing is verbal abuse. Like, I don't even know why he sticks around for this long.
yeah, it was pretty bad. But yeah, and then as soon as he has one thing, which I mean, it was maybe a little, but still, nonetheless, the way she freaks out over this. Well, meanwhile, he's been taking volley after volley.
Right.
And then she's just devastated by this.
Yeah.
And her brother comes over and they have the meal together.
But after this unemployment joke, she takes some time away, and then it's just him and the brother talking.
Yeah, when she talks, the brother mentions too that it's the same way with him, that she does all these jokes about him. But
he says, my sister's cruel to me too. Like, he's agreeing with Nick, like, it's a little out of control. I mean, she's mean.
Right.
So the two of them are talking about getting verbally abused by Hannah together.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at least Nick knows that it's not just him, it's just how she operates. But
right. So brother has the same issues with her, he says. And then she returns and she's like, were you guys talking crap about me?
Yeah.
But the brother was nice, but I just thought that was kind of crazy that the two bonded on that.
Yeah.
So next, Nick meets Hannah's parents and her little brother. And it seems like her parents know that Hannah is controlling and she can be kind of crazy, because they mention this in little comments here and there while they're talking with Hannah and Nick. And then I think Nick goes away and they're talking with Hannah, and Hannah's saying, well, I'm so unsure about the situation. And
well, she mentions, there's all these, he's got a bunch of issues that I just don't know, how I feel about them.
And they say, well, everybody has flaws. You need to let it go, basically.
Right. Or find the ones that are not going to, that you're okay with, and they're not going to be deal breakers or something you can tolerate. But
they say the problem might be you, because you look really stressed too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which the whole interaction with the parents I find interesting. Well, because I wonder, right, because she mentions that she is on her own at 18, right? That she kind of had to fend for herself.
Yeah, she says, they kicked me out at 18. I got no support. And here you are at 28 years old living in your parents' house.
Well, the contrast there is kind of interesting. But more so that they're, I guess, I don't know, when she got kicked out at 18, it seemed like she wasn't even probably talking to her parents anymore or something. But now they're here.
So maybe they have like a strained relationship.
So I don't know, maybe something got fixed between the time then and now or something, but I don't know, I'm just kind of,
maybe they're not very close.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
Or yeah, maybe that causes some issues in their relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's even one remark because you're saying, he's got all these issues or something, and then, the dad was like, well, you've got issues, but we kept you around or something.
Yeah.
Or then it was like, well, you got kicked out at 18, but so I don't know. There was almost like a little weird, like a weird tension even, but between them still potentially. But
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So I mean, but yeah, her parents were very. I don't know. It's interesting to kind of see the
different
female's parents meeting the guy versus the guy meeting because I don't know, it was a much more form. And she's like, oh, why aren't you grilling him? Why aren't you asking him all these questions? And it's like, you already picked them, so I mean, what is that going to yield us at this point, really?
Yeah, which to me seemed like they were just like this experience is like kind of ridiculous. Like they're not fully invested in. They're like, we don't have to grill him or ask him any questions. Like, I don't even know the guy that well enough to ask these questions yet. So
it seems like too they may have even like ill-advised to even go on the show or something, but she just kind of did it regardless. And so they're like, all right, well, whatever. We're just gonna go through the motions, I guess, to get through with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Either that or they're like, whatever, it's your life.
Yeah.
We don't care at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were kind of cold to the situation, and I don't know.
Yeah, things don't look like totally smoothed out or
between
natural.
them.
Right.
They didn't have anything really against Nick, or they weren't too invested in him. It was just a weird dynamic between them and their daughter here.
Yeah.
And then we get the opposite point of view by Hannah coming over to Nick's parents' house for dinner. And his mom and dad are so sweet, so kind. And they are just so like over the moon happy for Nick that they really enjoy meeting Hannah. And I don't know how Hannah did it, but it was almost like she was a completely different person around them. She was like pleasant to be around, very nice in conversation. And
well, this is what I mean. In the pods, I actually thought Hannah was. She seemed pretty nice. Like after the pods and seeing like what's unfolded so far, like it's made me not like her a lot less over the time.
Yeah.
And in the pods, I didn't get this, attitude or mentality or anything like that at all. So I almost feel like she does kind of put on a front in the beginning with people to show them or interact with them.
Yeah.
And I think it's no different here with his parents because, yeah, she does kind of flip to be this really nice person. She's not beating up on Nick with comments or anything like that. And I mean, they're probably excited because this is the first person that he's potentially going to finally move out of the house with. But
they're like, thank goodness you're here. Do you like cooking every meal for her?
They love her.
And waking up at 5 or 6 a.m. for the cat?
Yeah. Well, I also like, too, how she was cooking. His mom was cooking. She's like, oh, you want to help her? And then she tested. She's like, oh, does it need anything?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's great. And she's like, good answer.
That was nice. But why has Nick's mom never invited Nick into the kitchen to help with something the way she invited Hannah in 2 seconds? She's like, come into the kitchen and help me cook something.
Yeah.
And her son can't boil the pot of water. So,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a very nice moment. But yeah, if Hannah would have said, oh, this tastes terrible, like we think she would have reacted very nice to that. Something nice Hannah did was personalize her gifts for the parents, where people have just been bringing parents like flowers and things. And
yeah, she went way over top. With,
I really thought that was nice what she did.
Yeah, but I almost wonder if it's just this, I don't know, this weird front just come off. It's just the first impression, and then after that, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see like multiple visits after this if she would continue to be the same way or not.
The cute pineapple dishes, because his mom loves pineapples.
Yeah.
And
the shakers. That's what it was.
There were serving dishes too that were shaped like pineapples. She brought over.
Right.
Yeah, and the cute shakers, and then for the dad, she got the golf. Balls.
Golf balls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So his parents just loved her. Said she was everything and more, warm. She's such a family person. We're just so honored to have met her. They had nothing negative to say about Hannah. But you did bring up an interesting point. Like, this is the first person that could possibly take him out of the home. But also, I think he mentions like he hasn't really brought home anybody to meet his parents before.
Yeah, because I don't think he's been serious with anyone enough to do that, or he's just been too busy probably trying to make a name for himself with real estate or something now. But yeah, I mean, this is the most serious person he's had ever. So, which is why I think they're so ecstatic.
And that's the end of our summary of the past 3 episodes.
Yeah. So just to talk with Nick and Hannah, I don't know. I still don't think they're going to ultimately mesh well. I think they'll probably end up. I don't think it's enough to be at the altar. I think theirs could be more so afterward. Because I don't think their issues are bad enough yet. I think it would take more time. But I just don't think they're going to make it in the grand scheme of things. But I don't know. I just don't think their personalities really mesh well enough.
Right.
So I think they'll have arguments that'll later down the road be problems. But so I'd probably still say I think, they're still on the not make it list. So
you don't think that dinner with Nick's parents made everything better?
No, because I think it was a pure front. I think she can be great to give the first impression, but
that's it.
Yeah, because I mean, just seeing how she's acted in the aftermath, the pause has just been like, I don't know, not the same
a disaster.
As I felt, how she was in the pods. So
yeah. So your top couples so far?
So, I mean, of course, Garrett and Taylor, I mean, they're the best. I mean, they'll make it. There's no issues. They've been great.
Except San Diego.
Ooh. Yeah.
But it's not really an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, and I'd still probably say, at least for now, Tyler and Ashley might be okay. I mean, I haven't learned enough about this, but I mean, there is now, before I really had no doubts. Now there could be maybe some foggy area potentially, and then everybody else is still not going to make it. So,
yeah.
So they might be, Garrett and Taylor maybe. I'll have to see how the next episodes play out for Ashley and Tyler. But
okay.
Well, yeah, Garrett and Taylor are still going strong.
The top couple so far.
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to have to wait and see what happens. Thanks so much for joining us as we recapped another round of episodes.
Yes. Tune in next week as we will continue Love is Blind, and we will see how these relationships pan out. The successful ones, the bad ones, and the ugly ones.
Can't wait, and we will see you there next week.
Yeah, have a great week. See you next week.
See you next time. Love is Blind.
Ciao.